Hello there and welcome to Rajiv Gandhi IAS Academy. This today I will be dealing daily news analysis of 24th January 2022. So moving on with the first news. So the first news is about the German Navy chief and he quits his position because following an unprecedented controversy in Germany and a diplomatic incident with Ukraine. And this German Navy chief, which name is Admiral K. Jim, handed his resignation letter on Saturday over his comments in New Delhi that Ukraine can never get back Crimea and Russian President Vladimir Putin deserves some respect from rest of the world. So this was in he was praising Putin for his annexation of Crimea and all this. So that's why there was this condition over him that whether he want to continue his job or not, because as a diplomat one is not supposed to say these kind of things publicly. And Ukraine also reacted to this, and Ukraine also said that although Russia was having good terms with Ukraine was having good terms with Germany, but this kind of a statement basically draw back their relationship. So moving on with what is this whole Russia and Ukraine conflict. So we will discuss about some history. So what is really the history of the conflict between Ukraine and Russia? So first we will see about the annexation of Crimea. So Ukraine was one of the republic within the USSR. You can see here. So USSR, as we know, Soviet Russia during the Cold War days, and it has remained a strong ally of Russia till 2013. So till 2013, Ukraine was an ally of Russia, while it was planning to sign an association agreement with the European Union. Okay, with EU in 2013, it was planning to sign an agreement, and Russia objected to this agreement, which resulted in tension. And Russia then subsequently annexed Crimea, okay, in 2013. And there is this Russian Crimea is basically a Russian speaking province in Ukraine, and it did it by force, and the resultant conflict has so far claimed about 10,000 lives. So about 10,000 lives has been lost in this thing. Okay, so this is the thing, and see here, this is Crimea. So this was annexed to Russia back. Okay, so and there is also this naval skirmish over the Sea of Azov, because after Crimea annexation in 2013, what happened that Russia gained control over both sides of Kursk Strait. So this is the Kursk Strait. So Russia basically got control over both sides of this, and in May 2018, Russia opened a 12-mile long bridge over Kursk Strait. So Russia planned to make a bridge over this strait, and which has become the physical gateway to the Sea of Azov. And to prevent the Ukrainian boats from passing under this bridge, Russia placed a cargo ship below it. And later, the Ukrainian vessel attempt to travel from Black Sea and the Sea of Azov was denied by Russian coast. So there, this all problem was also happening in Azov Sea, which is close to Ukraine and Russia. And also, after this Azov Sea, there is this Russia also backed Ukrainian rebels. So Russia has been criticized for its involvement in the Donetsk and Luhansk region. These are the region of Crimea, which is close to Russia, and that is in eastern Ukraine. And their Russia, this separatist group are being Russian backed. And in May 2021, Moscow has allegedly deployed about thousands of people and troops and tanks and artillery near Ukraine eastern border. So we see here is the Ukraine eastern border. So Russia has deployed artillery and people over here and tanks over here. So like kind of this became a clear sign of conflict. And now coming to the current conflict, what is happening is Belarus, as we know, is a Russian ally, was blamed for migration crisis in the EU Polish border. So the current conflict started with Belarus, that is also a Russian ally and is in European Union. So it like kind of created a immigration, or we can say migrant crisis in European Union Poland border. So Russia flew bomber near Poland border earlier this month, and in the Black Sea, Russian President Vladimir Putin dispatched vessel to show US warship. Okay, so this kind of things happened, and immigration crisis was also happening. Now Russia is also threatening that it will take over the Ukraine and is heavily deploying artilleries and army over there. So why this current conflict is safer than previous one? Because there were similar scenes this year, but after US diplomatic intervention, Moscow pulled back. So US diplomatic intervention is here. US diplomatic intervention is here. Okay. And this time, the Russia moves appear to be a part of larger strategy of force projection against Russia western perimeter from Baltic Sea and Black Sea. So a part of larger strategy is there. Okay, and Russia views Ukraine as a western aircraft when just across southern Russia because the US influence on Russia. So US influence is also there. US influence is also there, and also Russia aggressiveness could have partly been derived by the assessment that the US has strategically weakened after its Afghan withdrawal. So now US is weakened after his Afghan withdrawal. We all know that US withdrawal is true from Afghanistan. So there is this issue over there also. And Ukraine says that an estimated about 90,000 Russian troops are there and they have like came in mass over the border of Ukraine. So moving on, when we are dealing with Russia and Ukraine relationship, we have to know about Minsk agreement. So what is this Minsk agreement? So the Minsk protocol or the Minsk 1 was signed in 2014 to prevent war in eastern Ukraine. Okay, to 2014 to prevent war. Where to prevent war? In eastern Ukraine. Okay, and the representative of the trilateral contact group on Ukraine, Russia, and they were like present there, and they decided that okay, now no more war will be there after 2014. And then after 2014 Minsk 1, there was this Minsk 2 in 2015, and this was meditated under force of France and Germany, and this was done to prevent an open conflict between Russia and Ukraine. Okay, so same thing was there, but like they kind of prevented a journey over here, like they prevented a conflict over here, but the here main player were France and Germany. Okay, so what are the practical ways to ease this tension? So first is Ukraine reluctance to implement the agreement, and its growing military, economic, and political ties with the West seem to have been prompted Russia to put Ukraine under military stress or military pressure, we can say. So Ukraine, like we can say, ties with West is one of the reason. So if Ukraine is lowering its ties with West, then we can see that there can be ease of tension. Okay, and also Ukraine lacks the military resources. So Ukraine to its giant neighbor, and there is no guarantee that the West would come to help Ukraine in help of a Russian invasion. So Ukraine has less military power. This is also one of the reason. And also Russia might make tactical gain from an invasion, but such a move could further deteriorate its ties with the West. So Russia ties would also be broken because other countries will start opposing him. Okay, and also so the only practical approach which we can see from here is to kind of revive the Minsk peace treaty. Okay, Minsk Peace Treaty revival. This is supposed to be the only approach which is there. So because earlier it has also been done, so it can be done again. So this is the news about that. So moving on with the next news. So the next news about the elephant corridor that is to be restored in South Bengal, and the fragmented and patchy forest of South Bengal have seen like emerged as one of the hotspot of human elephant conflict in the country. So there is this human elephant conflict which is happening on the border of South Bengal, and this resulting in lives of both human and the l- elephant, and all the agriculture also. So between 2014 and 19, as many as 2381 deaths have been recorded due to elephant attacks, and there is this about 16% of these attacks were accounted in West Bengal only. This is the total number in India, and 16% were accounted in West Bengal only. So minimizing human elephant conflict is pressing need of this region, and also wildlife organization and experts have taken up the task of undertaking this ecological restoration of the elephant corridor. So restoration ecological restoration of the corridor is one of the objective of this part, and there are about 180 to 200 elephants in this region, but due to fragmentation of forests, these are no longer following traditional migration path, hence they are entering into human area, and hence there is this human element elephant conflict is happening. So going on, we have to know about something about the Indian elephant. So elephant conservation is like vital, and it balances the ecosystem, and elephants have to be kept in forests, for which fodder and water augmentation program is initiated by government and is taking place. But first we have to know what is this Indian elephant. So one of the three extant recognized subspecies of Asian elephant and native to mainland Asia. So this is a subspecies of Asian elephant. Okay, and the IUCN red list is endangered. Okay, and the wild population has declined at least 50% from 1930s. Okay, so see, we can see how much endangered they are, that they are in half of the number in like less than 100 years. Okay, and they are threatened by loss, degradation and fragmentation of habitat. So habitat loss is there. Okay, so these are the basic issue and facts about Indian elephant. So elephant is an endangered species, that is where in Wildlife Protection Act of 1972 it will come as an endangered species, same as the IUCN red list, and the animal is in schedule 1 of the protection, and the schedule provides for the certificate of ownership and makes it mandatory for elephant owner to provide adequate facility. So it's in schedule 1. Okay, so if someone is having an elephant, he has to have a proper certificate and all those things. So moving on with the elephant, we have to know of certain facts, like this about this project elephant is there. So it's a flagship program of Minister of Environment and Forest, and this was launched in 1992, is also a centrally sponsored program. Okay, centrally sponsored scheme, and primarily it's aided at protecting elephant and the habitats, and it mainly address the man and animal conflict. Okay, man animal conflict, and the main cause behind see, the main cause behind current elephant deaths which are happening due to this man and elephant conflict is that first they are getting electrocuted, because there are many high tension wire are going there, and people now they do fencing with the high tension wire, so they are getting electrocuted. Sometimes they come in path of trains, so there are train accident also, and now their tusks are very important. So these people, they poachers, they kind of poach them so that they can use their tusk and their skin. And also what is happening that in when they are entering into farm areas, farmers are poisoning them so that they could not further enter into farm areas. So these are the main reason why they are getting lost in their like losing their environment. And also there is this weak regulation is there of our ecotourism is severely impacting. Okay, weak regulation of ecotourism, that is kind of severely impacting their habitats and affecting animals like that have a large home range. And elephants fragmentation of forests make it all the more important to preserve migrative corridors. And the movement of elephant is essential to ensure that their population are like genetically viable and help regenerate forests. So we can see it's one of the key species in the world. Elephants are also known as the engineers of the forest. engineers of the forest Engineers of forest. So you can see how much important this elephant is. If they are not there, a forest is in danger. So now moving on with the reason of man elephant conflict is that, so first reason which can be said is that the lost ranges and blocked corridors for elephant. So blocked corridors for elephant have meant elephant looks for soft landscape and joining forests such as coffee, tea and cardamom. And also expansion of human settlement. So this is one of the reason also. And the commercial pressure also diminish the habitat. Commercialization, we can say, commercialization. And also land use transformation. Land use transformation. These are the things, like these are basic thing which are like reason of the man elephant conflict. And like and scientific structure are also there in forest management. So unscientific forest management technique. Unscientific forest management technique is also there, which is kind of putting pressure into this man elephant conflict of elephants. Okay, so before we move on to the next thing, we have to know a certain things about elephant conservation. and uh, and one of those things is elephant corridors. So what are elephant corridors? They are basically strips of land connecting two large habitat. Strip connecting two habitats, okay, or basically a large habitat. So these are supposed to provide safe corridors for elephant to migrate from one landscape to another. And India there are about 101 elephant corridors. Okay, so this is the thing about elephant corridor. And there is this elephant information network, and this has enabled a human elephant coexistence in especially in southern India, especially in South India. This is very efficient, and it acts as an early warning mechanism to alert people that when elephants are nearby, they will kind of activate this. And this will minimize negative human elephant interaction and increase people tolerance towards elephant. Okay, so this is the thing, that is a kind of a warning mechanism. Okay, warning mechanism. And there is also this mic program. And this is one of the major program which is happening for reducing the human elephant conflict. And it is mandated by COP resolution, we all know, conference of parties, which was happened in October last year. And it is mandated by conference of party resolution of sites. And mic program started basically in South Asia in the year 2003. And its purpose is like to provide information needed for elephant, and to provide management of enforcement decision to avoid this kind of thing, and also to build institutional capacities within the range of a state for long term management of elephant population. So capacities institutional capacities building is there. And the main objectives are like to measure level and trend in illegal hunting. See, this kind of things, they would, although they will not go in that much depth, but a question is like can be asked in prelims. Mike is associated with fox, lion, hen, like say, elephant. So that kind of question could be asked in prelims. And it like they are also associated with which thing, conference of parties or IUCN or what. So we will, if we will be knowing, we know it's associated with COP and also to sites. Okay, So these are the thing about elephant and their conservation. And the next thing news is about art and culture. So this person, this R Nagaswamy, who was the first director of Department of Archaeology in India, died and in on Sunday. And he was synonymous with archaeology in India and always available for especially for South Indian history. Okay. So for South Indian history, this man was very much known. And also temples and Chola period temples and Bharatnatyam. This man was like a master of knowing the history of these kind of things, and he penned a book which is known as Masterpiece of Early South Bronze. Masterpiece of Early South India Bronze. So in prelims, these questions are like very much dear to them because he was a great personality and died recently. So they might ask that masterpiece of early South India bronze was penned by. So if we are knowing that, we can say R Nagaswamy. So and also Nagaswamy was instrumental in protecting several historic monuments, including Chera inscription at Pugalur, Chera at Pugalur. Okay, and the palace site of Gangaikonda Chellapuram, and the famous Thirumali Nayak Pass in Madurai, and the Danish port at Tanguba. So these are all the basic fact which are there, which he was very instrumentational. And like here, if you want to read, please read this portion very carefully, because as we have seen, like match the following options are sometimes asked in prelims. So here match the following could be placed. Okay, so please read this portion very carefully and try to like have a look onto this so that you can have it. So since this person was associated with South Indian history, so like Dravida style of architecture, which is in South Indian style, is became famous here, and it became important. So we have to know a little about Dravida kind of a structure. So see, this is the basic feature of Dravidian style of architecture. So the temple is enclosed with a compound wall. Okay, here is the main temple, and this is enclosed with a compound wall. And this Gopuram, it is the entrance gateway. Gopuram is the entrance gateway. And Vimana is the shape of the main temple tower. It is a step pyramid that rise up geometrically. Okay, and unlike the Nagara style, and in the Dravida style, Shikhar is the word for crowning element. Here is the Shikhar at the top of the temple, and at the entrance to the Garbhagriha, there is this. There would be fierce Dwar laps at the entrance of Garbhagriha. There is Dwar lap, and Garbhagriha is the center of the temple. Okay, there is Dwarla, and generally there is this temple tank also within the compound. Temple tank within the compound, and there are many subsidiary shrines also. They are enclosure with compound. And this example is from the Sri Gangathar temple. Sri Ranganathar. Sorry for the pronunciation mistake. Sri Ranganathar temple. Okay, so this is like basically the design of Sri Ranganathan temple at Sri Rangam, Tiruchirappalli, and there are seven concentric rectangular enclosure, and walls have like gopurams, and that is the entrance gate, and the tower at the center has a garbhagriha. So this is basically about South Indian architecture, or basically the Dravida style of architecture. And the famous temple is like Kanchipuram, Thanjavur. Okay, Thanjavur, Madurai, Madurai, and Kumbakonam. So these are like famous temple of Dravida style architecture. And in 8th to 12th century, this temple were not confined to being religious center, but were the administrative center also. So the work of administration were also used to happen from these temples only. So moving on with this Dravida architecture, there are basic different subdivision. There is this first is Kuta architecture, that is square shaped, and the second is Shala architecture, that is rectangular shape. Okay, and third is Gaja Gaja Priest, or which is known as elephant back, that is elliptical. Okay, it's from the name Gaja, that is elephant. Okay, and there is this fourth is Vrita is circular. Okay, and the fifth one is Astra. Astra is basically octagonal. Okay, so octagonal, just in case if eight sides are not there. So these kind of things became important because in prelims these kind of things became important. So as a person who know the Dravidian style of architecture died, so UPSC have this habit of revolving things around a particular topic. So these kind of things became handy, so have a look on this also, and like know that what are these things basically. Okay, so moving on, there was this Gujarat deep sea pipeline scheme which was going to happen, and that has become a non-starter. And so this was built as an innovative solution to the perennial problems of river pollution in Gujarat. But this was like to solve perennial river problem, but this has become like a non-starter, and it was about to be given 300 crores to like develop the Sabarmati river area, so that the all the sluggish area from the industries and nearby areas do not go into Sabarmati river, and this area is clean. So the project has run into several stumbling blocks, and the local fishermen have objected to this pipeline on the ground that the effluent would pollute the sea and kill fishes and marine ecology. So this will kill marine ecology. So this was about the news. So let us know something about Sabarmati also. See, this is the area, and this is basically the encatchment area of the Sabarmati basin, or the whole Sabarmati. This is the famous Sabarmati river, and there are different tributaries to it, and it's flowing like here. So the two stream, Sabar and Hathamati. Okay, Hathamati, they both combine and form a Sabarmati river. Okay, Sabar and Hadamati, they both combine and form a Sabarmati river, and the river flows through the state of Rajasthan, here Rajasthan and Gujarat. Okay, and the Sabarmati originate in Tepur in Udaipur. Tepur, Tepur in Udaipur. Okay, in district Udaipur district. Okay, Tepur, Udaipur district of Rajasthan. We all know Udaipur is in Rajasthan, also known as city of lakes, if I'm not wrong. And the area of Sabarmati basin is huge, that is about 21,674 square kilometer, and the length is about 371 kilometer. And the major tributes of Sabarmati are Vakal, Hathmati as discussed here, Sabar also, Harnav, and sea river. So this kind of, see, if they are tributary are very much important, and I will definitely urge you all to remember the tributaries of different North Indian rivers and South Indian rivers. And the major projects situated on the Sabarmati are Sabarmati Reservoir. Okay, then there is this Hatmati Reservoir, and there is this Meshwo reservoir project. Okay, so these are the basic reservoir project, and there is this huge textile, leather and leather goods and plastic and rubber goods newspaper, paper, this kind of industry are basically situated in this whole Sabarmati basin, and these are very industrial influential area. So please have a look on the Sabarmati river also, and please kind of like of memorize all the rivers and their tributaries, basic river which are very important, like Yamuna is important, Ganga is important, Godavari is important, Kaveri, Sabarmati, and then there is this Brahmaputra. At least these five rivers you should know. Okay, so moving on with the next news. So the next news about the Taliban envoy, which is going to have a like a meeting at Oslo peace talks. So the first Taliban delegation to visit Europe since power returning of power in Afghanistan. So first Taliban, they are the first Taliban envoy for peace talk. Okay, and no country has yet recognized the Taliban government, and Norwegian foreign ministry made it clear that they not represent a legitimization or recognition on Taliban. And on Monday, the Taliban will meet the representative from US, France, Britain, Germany, Italy, and European Union. Okay, and there will be bilateral talks, and Taliban spokesperson Zabiullah Mujahid said that the this group, her Islamist group, hope the talks would transform the atmosphere of war into peaceful situation. Okay, so the Taliban here also, they want a peaceful situation in Afghanistan, and they will be taking part in this Oslo peace conference. And like going on to the India Afghanistan relationship, so like bearing a brief pause in 1990s, India has historically enjoyed good ties with Afghanistan, which go beyond the like 1950 treaty was there, treaty of friendship was happening, and India interest and influence suffered because of the Taliban backed by Pakistan captured in 1996. When it captured, India's interest suffered, but India was back in action as soon as the Taliban were ousted from power after the US invasion in 2001. And India had made huge investment and commitments ever since, and this runs about 3 billion US dollar, and cultivated a strong economic and defense ties with Afghan government. And now it is again starting at the uncertainty because of the US pullback having effectively changed the balance of the power in Afghanistan, and the Taliban making a rapid territorial gains. So like see here, these are basic helping hands which India here in this picture, these are basic hands things which India have done for the Afghanistan. India has built a 218-kilometer road from Zaranj to Delram in western Afghanistan. See here, this is the highway India has built, a 220 kV DC transmission line from Pule Khushmi to Kabul. This also Pule Khumri to Kabul India has built, and the Salma Dam provide water to Herat province. This is Herat province. India has built a dam over there. Afghan parliament was and the Indira Gandhi Institute of Child Health and school was built by India. Also, many different substation were installed, and like in COVID times, also India helped a lot to Afghanistan and gave the COVID diplomacy in a full-fledged situation to when it comes to helping Afghanistan. So, what are the India option in Afghanistan? The first option is to talk with the Taliban. So, talking to Taliban would allow India to seek security guarantees from the insurgents to return for continued development assistance or other pledges, as well as explore the possibility of Afghanistan Taliban autonomy from Pakistan. So, at this point, talking to the Taliban looks inevitable, but India should not overlook the deep ties between Pakistan's security establishment and the Haqqani network. So a major faction within the Taliban is happening. So India have to utilize this faction, and the USA overlooked it while fighting the Taliban along the Pakistan, and it paid a heavy price for it. And second India option is to taking Afghan government in confidence, because there is no guarantee that India quest for engagement with the Taliban would produce a desirable outcome. So India should broad basic options, and while talking to the Taliban to protect its interests, India should also enhance aid to Afghanistan legitimate government and security forces, and work with other regional powers for long-term stability in the government. So this is the second option India have, that is to take the Afghan government in confidence. And third one is support military forces like the rebel forces of Afghanistan, but this option is long gone because Taliban has given a good control over Afghanistan. And the third option is like have a regional solution, like having the solution from Russia and all these things. And also Iran played a significant role over here, so we have to take control of the Iran also, because there is this ethnic minority sharing boundaries with Afghanistan. And also if Afghanistan go into the hand of China, that will create a huge problem for India also. So we have to take control of those kind of things also. So these are all things about today. So thank you too much, so much. See you tomorrow. Okay, thank you.